Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. I am Poonam Charan, Assistant Professor, Government Dungar College, Bikaner. Today I'll be talking about Edmund Spenser, his life and his famous works. Edmund Spenser was a Londoner by birth and a Cambridge man by training. He was at Cambridge during some severe puritanical struggles and probably then received his Puritan bent. Taking his MA in 1576, he went to the north for a time and there he fell in love with Rosalind, the widow's daughter of the Glen. In these same eclogues in the shepherd's calendar, it calls Spenser the southern shepherd's boy, and it is a probable reference to the friendship and patronage of Sir Philip Sidney, to whom this whole calendar is dedicated. Spenser is regarded as poet's poet by Charles Lamb, and he is also considered as the second father of English poetry, the first, of course, being Geoffrey Chaucer. In 1580, he went to Ireland, then in rebellion with Lord Grey, and must have seen the massacre of Smerwick Fort, which he has vindicated in his view of the present state of Ireland. Henceforth, he resided mostly in Ireland but paid visits to England for the publication of his great poem in 1589 and 1595, that was Fairy Queenie. So it was published in two parts. Although Spenser intended to write 12 books, but he has written only 6 books. The first 3 books were published in 1589 and the last 3 books were published in 1595. He was clerk of the Council of Munster, and about 1586 he was granted the manor and ruined castle of Kilcolman. But unfortunately, during Tyrine's rebellion in 1598, Spencer's castle, this Kilcolman, it was sacked and burnt. Although Spenser and his wife escaped, but he died the following January in London. If we talk about Spenser's famous works, the first is Shepherd's Calendar. It was published in 1579 and it has been dedicated to Philip Sidney. Now it's written in the form of eclogues or dialogues. Now, eclogue is, we call it a poem in a classical style, and it is on a pastoral subject. It contains the work Shepherd's Calendar. It contains 12 eclogues or parts which are based on 12 months of the year. And the first and the last eclogues are complaints by Colin Cloud to Rosalind. The work is based on Theocritus and Virgil's eclogues. Edmund Spenser has also written a famous elegy on the death of Sir Philip Sidney. It was called Astrophel. Next work was Ambrati, and it was a famous sonnet sequence of 16th century. It contains 89 sonnets in the praise of beauty of Elizabeth Boyle, beloved of Spenser. Our present sonnet, One Day I Wrote Her Name, which has been prescribed in our course, has been taken from Ambrati. It was 75th sonnet in the sequence. Now, these sonnets, although they are written in Petrarchan form, but Spenser has also invented a new rhyme scheme for his sonnet, Spenserian sonnet. And the rhyme scheme was A B A B B C B C C D C D E E. We have already discussed that Spenserian sonnet. It was based on, or it contained 4 parts. It comprised of 4 parts. Three stanzas were full length and the last one was a couplet. Now if we talk about his greatest work, Fairy Queenie, which was modeled after the fashion of Ariosto's Orlando Furioso. The idea and aim of this epic to fashion a gentleman in moral and virtuous discipline, this notion has been derived from Aristotle, and his concept of beauty has been inspired by Plato's cult of ideal beauty. Now, Fairy Queenie has been called an epic, a medieval romance, as well as a romantic epic. And in this work, the Renaissance and the Reformation element has been well fused. Although it is unfinished work of Spencer because he decided to write 12 books, but unfortunately only 6 books were written. And his friend Sir Walter Raleigh was the first one to whom Spencer told about the idea to write this long epic poem, Fairy Queenie. In this particular work, he has used a specific stanza form known as Spenserian stanza, which he invented basically for Fairy Queenie. It was a specific and fixed stanza which he invented for this work. We will talk shortly about the Spenserian stanza form, but first we'll discuss about the work Fairy Queenie itself. Now, the first three books were published in the first collection in 1589, and those books were, the first book was Holiness, second one was Temperance, and the third was Chastity. Another three books they were published in the second collection in 1596, and those books were, the fourth book was Friendship, fifth one was Justice, and the sixth one was Courtesy. Now, this book contains heroic deeds of King Arthur and his knights, and each knight story represents the quest for the Queen Gloriana. If we talk about the works Fairy Queenie itself, it tells the stories of knights, each representing a particular virtue on their quest for the Fairy Queenie Gloriana. So, Red Cross is the first knight who stands for holiness, and his work is to defeat both theological errors and the dragon of deception to free the parents of Una. Now, the second knight is Guan, who stands for temperance, and his motto, his aim is to destroy the fleshy temptations of Acacia's power of bliss. Third knight is Britomart, who is a woman in disguise of man. She represents chastity and she must find her beloved and win his heart. The fourth knight is the article, who stands for justice, who is the knight of justice, and he must rescue the Lady Irene from the unjust bondage. Fifth knight is the Campbell, and his friend Trimond. They both stand for friendship and they must help one another in defense of various ladies' owner. Finally, the last knight is the Calidar, who is the knight of courtesy, and his aim is to stop the blatant beast from spreading its venom. So, this was a brief summary of the Fairy Queenie. Now, in this each quest, it represents an allegory, and the knight given the quest represent a person's internal growth in their particular virtue. Now, such growth happens through various trials and tribulations, some of which the knights, of course, fail, showing how personal development it is a struggle, and it requires help of the other forces and also the virtues to make it complete. This was all about the Fairy Queenie. Now, if we talk about the Spenserian stanza, it was basically created by adding an Alexandrine, a line of 6 feet, to the stanza used by Chaucer in his Monk's Tale. Now, its supreme merit is that it exactly suits Spenser's manner. It's liquid, it is fluent, it's luxurious, it's notable for its fluidity and sweet ease. It is admirable for conveying impression of languor, melody, gentle music, beauty, and repose. Now, this Spenserian stanza form, it was used for the first time in Fairy Queenie. It was a specific and fixed stanza, and he basically used it for Fairy Queenie. If you talk about its rhyme scheme, it was A B A B B, C, B, C, C. So the first eight lines of each Spenserian stanza, they were in iambic pentameter, that is five pair of syllables, and the last line was Alexandrine, that was in 12 syllables. Now Dryden once said about Spenser that no man was ever born with a greater genius of more knowledge to support. This was Spenser's reputation during the era. That's all for today. Thank you.